Jacob had been hiking since he was a kid, tromping through the woods near his house with a beat-up backpack and a peanut butter sandwich. His mom used to joke he'd grow up to be a mountain man, and honestly, she wasn't far off. Every year, like clockwork, he'd pick a weekend, lace up his boots, and head to the mountains. Didn't matter if it was raining or if the wind was howling, Jacob went. Always alone, too. He liked it that way. No chatter, no distractions, just him and the crunch of leaves under his feet. He'd tell his buddies, "You don't need a crowd to enjoy the view, man." And they'd roll their eyes, but they got it. Jacob was built different. This time, he picked a spot up in the Rockies. Nothing crazy, just a trail he'd heard about from some guy at the gas station. Rough, quiet, perfect. He packed light. Water, a couple granola bars, a knife his dad gave him years back. The air was crisp when he started out, the kind that stings your lungs a little, but feels good doing it. Trees stretched up forever, all pine and shadow, and the ground was this mix of dirt and rocks that made every step feel solid. He was in his zone, humming some old Springsteen tune, not a care in the world. The plan was simple. Hike up, camp overnight, hike back. Same as always. Hours in, he was deep in the thick of it. The trail had faded out a while back, but Jacob didn't mind. He had a good sense of direction, and getting a little lost was half the fun. The sun was dipping low, painting everything orange, and he figured he'd start looking for a flat spot to crash soon. That's when he heard it, a rustle off to his left. He stopped, cocked his head. Probably just a deer, he thought. Maybe a squirrel. He'd seen plenty of critters out here over the years. No big deal. He took another step, grinning to himself about how jumpy he could still get after all this time. Then, snap. Not like a twig, but sharper, louder. Before he could even turn, something clamped down hard on his leg. Pain shot up like lightning, and he hit the ground, swearing loud enough to scare off whatever was in those bushes. He looked down, and there it was, a hunting trap. Old, rusted, but strong as hell. The metal teeth had his ankle good, blood already soaking into his sock. He yanked at it, cussing and grunting, but that thing wasn't budging. His knife was no match either, just scratched the surface. Panic crept in, but he shoved it down. "Okay, Jake," he muttered. "You've been in worse spots. Figure it out." Except he couldn't. Not this time. The trap was locked tight, and he was alone, miles from anyone. The sun was dropping fast now, and the cold was settling in. He leaned back against a tree, breathing hard, trying to think. That's when he saw it, a shadow overhead. Big wings cutting through the sky. An eagle, not just gliding, but circling, like it knew something was up. Jacob stared at it, half out of it from the pain, and thought, "Man, if that bird could talk, I'd be begging it for help right now." Funny thing was, that eagle didn't fly off. It just kept circling, closer and closer, like it was waiting for something. And Jacob, stuck there bleeding, started wondering if maybe, just maybe, it was. Jacob's leg was throbbing like a drumbeat now, each pulse sending a fresh wave of hurt up his spine. The trap's rusty jaws weren't letting go, and the blood pooling under his foot was starting to freak him out. He'd always been good at keeping cool. Years of hiking solo taught him that. But this was next level bad. He tried yelling for help, his voice bouncing off the trees, but it was useless. No one was out here. Just him, the woods, and that damn eagle still circling above like some kind of feathered vulture waiting for dinner. He slumped back, wiping sweat off his forehead with a shaky hand. "All right, man, think," he told himself. His phone was dead, had been since he started the hike. No signal out here anyway. The knife wasn't cutting through the trap, and he wasn't about to start hacking at his own leg like some horror movie guy. He was stuck, plain and simple. The sun was almost gone now, just a sliver of light peeking over the ridge, and the temperature was dropping fast. He could feel it in his fingers, stiffening up as the night crept in. That's when the eagle swooped lower. Not just circling anymore. It damn near landed, perching on a branch maybe 10 feet away. Jacob blinked at it, half expecting he was hallucinating from the pain. But no, it was real. Big, golden brown wings folded tight, eyes locked on him like it was sizing him up. "What are you looking at, huh?" he muttered, almost laughing despite everything. The bird didn't move, just stared. And then, crazy as it sounds, Jacob got this wild idea. "You're my shot, aren't you?" he said, talking to it like it could understand. Last hope, big guy. He didn't have much to work with. His pack was still on his back, and he fumbled through it with numb fingers. Granola bar wrappers, a water bottle, nothing useful. Then he hit something soft, an old white t-shirt he'd shoved in there for emergencies. Bingo. He yanked it out, tore off a strip with his teeth, and stared at it. Okay, Jake, you're losing it, but let's roll with it. He needed something to write with. No pen, no marker. Course not. That'd be too easy. But the ground under him was damp, a mix of dirt and clay from some runoff. He scooped up a handful, smearing it between his fingers. It'd do. He flattened the cloth on his knee, dipped his finger in the clay, and scrawled "Help me" in big, sloppy letters. Looked like a kid's art project, but it was readable. He glanced up at the eagle, still perched there, watching. "You better be as smart as you look," he said, tying the cloth into a loose knot. Then, with all the strength he had left, he waved his arm at the bird. "Come here, you. Take it." The eagle cocked its head, hopped closer. Close enough he could see the sheen on its feathers. Jacob tossed the cloth toward it, praying. It fluttered down, landing a foot from the branch. For a second, he thought it'd just sit there, but then the eagle swooped, snatched it in its talons, and took off. Jacob watched it climb into the darkening sky, heart pounding. "Go, man, go," he whispered. It was nuts, but it was all he had. Up in the mountains, Jacob was fading. The cold had sunk into his bones, and the pain in his leg was this dull, constant ache that wouldn't quit. He'd stopped bleeding as much. Probably not a good sign, he figured, but he was too wiped out to care. His head lolled against the tree, eyes half open, tracking the stars popping out one by one. "Come on, eagle," he mumbled, voice barely a whisper. "Don't flake on me now." He didn't know if he was talking to the bird or just himself anymore. Either way, he was hanging on by a thread. Down in the valley, things were moving fast. Mike and Sarah had gotten hold of the ranger station, and a crew was already gearing up. 2 rangers, Tom and Lisa, jumped in a truck with first aid kits, flashlights, and a radio. Mike was right behind them in his beat-up Jeep, determined to see this through. "That bird's got to be the smartest damn thing I've ever seen," he kept saying, shaking his head. Sarah stayed back, calling neighbors to spread the word, just in case. The eagle, meanwhile, was back in the air, soaring ahead like it knew exactly where to go. Every few minutes, it'd circle back, making sure the humans were keeping up. Tom, the older ranger, had seen a lot in his years, lost hikers, bear attacks, but nothing like this. "An eagle with a note? That's a new one," he said, grinning at Lisa as they bounced along the dirt road. She just nodded, eyes on the sky, tracking the bird's shadow against the moonlight. It led them up a winding path, past the trailhead Jacob had started at, then off into the rough stuff where no one sane would hike alone. The eagle didn't waver, kept flying, wings cutting sharp against the night, the white cloth flapping like a signal. Back at the trap, Jacob heard something. A rustle, then a faint hum. Engines, maybe? He blinked hard, trying to focus, but his head was fuzzy. "Nah, you're dreaming, man," he told himself. But then it got louder, and headlights flickered through the trees. The eagle swooped low, landing on a branch right above him, and Jacob's heart kicked up. "You did it, you crazy bird," he croaked, a weak grin tugging at his lips. Voices shouted now, real ones, not his imagination. "Over here," someone yelled, and boots crunched closer. Mike was the first to spot him, flashlight beam landing on Jacob's pale face. "Holy crap, there he is," he called, waving the rangers over. Tom and Lisa rushed in, dropping to their knees beside him. "Hang on, buddy," Lisa said, checking his leg while Tom radioed for a stretcher. The trap was a mess, but they had tools, real ones, and got it off in minutes. Jacob barely felt it, too out of it to care, but he heard the eagle screech overhead and managed a thumbs up. "That bird saved my ass," he mumbled. Mike laughed, clapping him on the shoulder. "Smartest damn eagle in the world, man. You're one lucky guy." And as they hauled him out, Jacob knew he'd never hike alone again, or doubt a bird with a mission. Jacob was a wreck, slumped against that tree, barely keeping his eyes open. The cold had him shivering hard, and the pain in his leg was this numb throb that wouldn't quit. He didn't know how long he'd been stuck. Hours, maybe more, but it felt like forever. The eagle was still up there, perched above him, watching like some kind of guardian. He'd pinned everything on that bird, and now, as the dark closed in, he was starting to wonder if he'd bet wrong. "Don't let me down, man," he whispered, voice cracking. His head dipped, and he fought to stay awake. Down the mountain, the rescue crew was on the move. Mike, the guy who'd spotted the eagle, was leading the charge, his jeep rumbling alongside the ranger's truck. Tom and Lisa, the pros, had their gear ready, med kit, blankets, a stretcher. They'd followed the eagle's path, that white cloth flapping like a beacon in the night. Never thought I'd be chasing a bird to save somebody, Tom said, shaking his head. Lisa just smirked, keeping her eyes on the sky. The eagle didn't mess around. It flew straight, circling back now and then to make sure they didn't lose it. The bird led them up the ridge, past the faded trail, right to where Jacob was trapped. It swooped low, landing on that branch above him, and let out a sharp cry, like it was saying, "Here he is, dummies." Mike's flashlight caught Jacob first, slumped and pale, blood crusted around the trap. "Found him," he shouted, waving the rangers over. Tom and Lisa bolted in, dropping beside Jacob. "Hey, man, we're here," Lisa said, her voice steady as she checked his leg. Tom grabbed the radio, calling it in. "Male, late 20s, caught in a trap. We've got him." Jacob stirred, blinking at the lights. "The eagle," he mumbled, barely audible. Lisa nodded, prying the trap open with a tool while Tom wrapped a blanket around him. "Yeah, that bird's a hero. Brought us right to you." It took a minute, but they got the trap off, metal clanging as it hit the ground. Jacob winced, too weak to move, but relief hit him like a wave. Mike grinned, helping lift him onto the stretcher. "Told you that eagle was smart, man. You're gonna be fine." The bird flapped its wings, soaring up as they carried Jacob out. They hauled him down the mountain, the eagle flying ahead like it was proud of itself. By the time they hit the valley, an ambulance was waiting. Sarah had called it in. Jacob got patched up, like a mess, but nothing he wouldn't bounce back from. Later, warm in a hospital bed, he'd tell the story to anyone who'd listen, how a bird saved his life. And up in the mountains, that eagle settled back into the wild, probably never knowing it had just made a guy named Jacob a believer in miracles.